देवाय तस्मै नमः।
ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। We are in the middle of a section that shows the limitations of a life devoted to your bhoga. Bhoga means just consumption of all the things in the universe. You know, whatever there is to consume, one gets interested, one gets attracted, and one consumes. So that is there. And the second thing that we have been looking at is the power, the hunger for power. Power is something which everybody loves. And even that is the reason why sometimes people have pets. Sit. Okay, the dog is sitting. At least the dog is sitting. Nobody else in your life is listening to you, but at least the dog is sitting. And the dog, is rolling over and doing certain things like this. So there is some kind of a satisfaction. There is some, appears to be a kind of an innate need to have some kind of an overlordship. Why is there this innate need for power? The innate need for power is this overlordship is because of the truth of the I, the self, which is in fact Ishvara, which is overlording everything. And not knowing that innate, not understanding that I am the source of power leads one to just become a beggar for power. There is a very innate irony in all this. What is the irony? The irony is, I want to have power, but I'm begging you to give me the power to overlord you. I'm begging you means all the whole circumstances, the situation, my own karma, and the people. I want to be validated, but I beg you to validate me. And then I want power, but then I want you to recognize that I need power. This is crazy. This is all upside down. So this bhoga and aishwarya, which is the subject matter of verses, whatever it was, 41 to 44 or something like that. The whole chain of events, the chain of events that leads to disaster, that leads to that chain wrapping around oneself like the notion of bondage. And so therefore the need for a focus and a need for clarity was talked about in the last few verses. And the lot of the people, and that section concludes with understanding the lot of the people who are not given to bhoga, who are given only to bhoga. Bhoga means conspicuous, just searching and consuming and searching and consuming everything that the world has to offer. And aishwarya, power hungry people. And the lot of that was already talked about. And if this is not recognized, if the need for power and the need for consuming everything, all the objects of desire are not recognized as an impetus to overcome self-ignorance, then that leads you down the wrong road. Wrong road means just a road of misery, samsara. So, Bhogaishwarya Prasaktana Taya Apahrita Chetasam, very well put by the Bhagavad Gita. So, Bhogaishwarya Prasaktana, 44th verse. So, the people who are carried away, hijacked. Apahrita means hijacked. Chetasam means whose emotions are carried away. In fact, who are just a bunch of emotions. Because the more we depend upon milking samsara for our sanity and for our life and for our enjoyment and for our power, the more we milk the situation and all these objects, all these desires, etc., objects of desires, the more miserable we are. This is Bhagavan's contention here. And he says, as much Bhogaishwarya Prasaktanam, Taya Prasakta means like steeped in that, steeped in power and all the objects of desire, all pursuits of power and desire, Taya Apahrita Chetasam. So, if you say what is wrong with pursuing desire and power, here the people who are a slave to Aishwarya and Bhoga, it's no longer a pursuit, it's an enslavement. It starts very innocently enough. Oh, I'm on top of this. I can do this. I can have this. I can do this. I'm just dilly dallying in here. Don't worry. I'm studying. I'm a regular student of Vedanta. I'm attending classes every Monday night, and a little bit of a foray into this area is not going to harm me. So, with that conviction, the person just indulges in something, but then after a while, what happens is that because the original problem of self ignorance is not being taken care of, then one is completely apahrita chetasaha, means one is completely hijacked, one becomes a slave to that. No, but I have a lot of restraint. Yes, you may have a lot of restraint, but these things are very, very sneaky. The ahankara is very sneaky, and everything, all these ways in which one deals with the world, one doesn't know. Very soon, like that strong person, huge, strong fellow. We see these kinds of situations in cartoons and movies. So then, fights with this puny person, tiny fellow. And that strong fellow thinks, oh, this is this is a piece of cake, and I know martial arts, and I'm going to just flip this fellow and then finish. I'll be done. And then goes with total confidence. And then what happens? The puny fellow also knows martial arts, and then before anybody can even blink the eye, that huge fellow is on the ground and the puny fellow is standing on top of him. This is how it is with the pursuits of bhoga and aishwarya without that clarity, which is called nishchayatmika buddhi, without the clarity of what to pursue. And when that clarity of what to pursue comes, then, then it is easier. Then it is much easier, because even if one strays a little bit, next week, Monday will come. And then so I will get back on track after the next class. That kind of a dridata, that certainty is there. And so, vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhau na vidhiyate means that vyavasayatmika buddhi means that clarity, that understanding uh, established in which one can be sure not to stray. And that clarity and that pursuit is actually karma yoga, as we have seen. That is what we are getting into now. And we saw also the contours of what we call karma yoga. And so here, this is the so that determination. Samadhi means that absorption in the knowledge, and that determination is not possible. is not possible. And so this is the thing. And Adi Shankara says in the Bhashya, very interesting piece of Bhashya here. Tesham, for the people who are steeped in power and desire, bhogaha kartavyam aishwaryam cha iti bhogaishwaryayoho eva pranavatam tad atmabhutanam तथा क्रियाविशेष बहुलयः वाचा आच्छादित विवेक प्रज्ञानां व्यवसायात्मिका सांख्ययोगे वा बुद्धि समाधौ समाधीयते अस्मिन् पुरुष भोगाय सर्वम् इति समाधिः अंतःकरण वृत्ति तस्मिन् समाधौ न विधीयते. Very well and succinct conclusion here. And he says, as for those who think that this prosperity, enjoyment, these are the only objects of life, and those who are totally fond of them have completely been hijacked for them. And because of that, what has happened for those people, that discriminative intellect, that viveka, has been veiled. Achhadita prajna means that viveka has been veiled by the words, which proclaim the efficacy of short-term ends. So there are lots of people. In fact, the whole world is all about short-term ends and quick fixes. There are no quick fixes, but here, you are instant gratification. You want this? Here, have it. Oh, you can't have it? Okay, have something else. Oh, you have to wait in line? Never mind. Go somewhere where you don't have to wait. And this is this is our thinking. And for that matter, Indians, that's why they don't wait in line, because they don't, they just say, okay, just grab it. And even in places like Mumbai, where there is some kind of there is some kind of a discipline. I have found that until the bus comes, everybody is standing at a bus stop. Until the bus comes, there is a line. As soon as the bus comes, everybody just rushes in all at once. This is the thinking. This is that desperation to gain what one wants, and the desperation to gain it immediately, and to gain it before other people. That there is that thing also. I got it first. Are you 2 years old or what? Precisely. There is the inner 2-year-old that wants to be first at everything. And so Adi Shankara says that it's not that they don't know. They know, but that prajna, that viveka, that discriminative intellect, and that prajna, the innate understanding that okay, this is not all what life is about. Is getting my means and ends. We just full of means and ends and getting my pursuits and desires met. There is something more to this life, and that is not understood. And that is not understood. Why? Achhadita viveka prajnaha. These people are those whose even that basic wisdom is been covered. Achhadita, covered, veiled. By what? By this desire for instant gratification. By this desire to just be steeped in karma. And so therefore, karma yoga does not talk to them. Sankhya Yoga, meaning this pursuit of Vedanta, does not really speak to them. And nothing speaks to them because in their inner antahkarana, in their mind, in their hearts, there is, which is their hearts become the repository of all kinds of enjoyments. And so so there is no space for this, because these are the people who are of enslaved passions. They are slaves of passion. Their passions are enslaved by the desire for instant gratification, and then they are robbed of discrimination. And then so what happens? These people are in need of great help, and you can't help them. Why? Because it is a difficult situation. You try to help them, and then what happens? They just go back to yoga, bhoga, and Aishwarya, and all these things. It's like a yo-yo thing. And then that staying power is not there. And understanding the basic problem as I have self ignorance is not there. And so, and that this self ignorance can be removed through Shravanam. That is not there. Shravanam means listening to the teachings regularly. And that is not understood at all, because the orientation is that of a doer. And people will proudly say, I'm a doer. People will say that. You might have met such people in your work, colleagues, and among your work colleagues and people like that. I can't sit still, I'm a doer. Give me something to do, and then I'm happy. And so this orientation of being a doer is universal. And in some people, of course, it is there in a large scale, but it is a universal penchant for doership, thinking that I am the one reproducing whatever I want in terms of the karma phala, results of action. I'm the one who is reproducing them, and I'm the one who has to do this. This is the problem. This is the problem because, really speaking, one is tired of doing. Why is one tired of doing? One is tired of doing because you somehow you understand through the doing itself that this is my undoing. I'm not getting what I want. I'm not getting what I want, no matter how hard I try. This is the thing, and this is what is called samsara. The endless link after link in the chain of action. One link, reaction, another link, third link, another action, fourth link, another result of action, action, result of action. But then after result of action, why is there another action? Hmm? Because I don't like the result of action and I have to tweak it. So therefore, there is another action. Oh, this didn't come out well. Let us do this again. Let us do something else if this didn't work. So there is another action and another result of action, and each one leading to a dead end of questioning, self underconfidence, self loath, self critique, self judgment. In other words, misery. Okay, this is what is called samsara. And it just dead ends into misery. There is nothing other than misery. No, but right now I'm happy. Just wait. Okay, yeah, wait for 2 more minutes and then I'll ask you that question. How are you now? That is what, like a deflated balloon. And so these little spikes of so-called happiness that have to do with sudden burst of the desirer, namely the jiva and the objects of desire, somehow fusing. The subject object fusion temporarily gives a little burst of happiness. That doesn't give happiness. Your own happiness is activated. The pleased self is activated in certain situations, and so therefore one puts the onus of the happiness onto the object, which is actually subject centric. The subject centric happiness is then transferred to the object, like that famous story of the dog and the bone. The dog eating the dry bone scrapes its gums with the sharp edges, and then the resulting blood gives it great enjoyment, and it says, oh, what a juicy bone, slurp slurp, what a juicy bone, how wonderful this is. Well, the juice, so called juice, is coming from the dog, not from the bone. Not from the bone, not at all from the bone. How can the dry bone have anything? So the whole teaching is like this. Samsara, the whole universe is not capable of giving you this happiness of what you want. It is like a dry bone. That is all it is. It is like a dry bone, scraping against which your own Atma, the joy of your own self is somehow scratched, activated. Raso vai saha rasaghyevayam labdva nandi bhavati. This Atma is juicy. This is what Taittiriya Upanishad says. Raso vaisaha. Rasa means full of essence. That is what this is the storehouse. This is the fount of joy, fount of ananda. And gaining this means cognitively gaining this. Nandi bhavati. Nandi is not the bull that sits in front of Shiva. Okay. Yeah, so gaining this atma, I am turned into a buffalo. That's not the translation. Already full of tamas, already buffalo like, and then to know that after gaining this rasagahye he eva ayam labdhva nandi bhavati, oh my god, I'll be turned into a buffalo. No, no, no. Anandi bhavati. Anand labdhva, log a, and then Nandi, there is a elision of that, there is a sandhi there. So that one a is that a plus a becomes a again. So then that extra a is elided, and so Anandi bhavati. Ah, okay. Now I'm all right. Now, so long as I'm not a buffalo, I'm all right. So Anandi bhavati means understands oneself as the source of all joy. Otherwise, one is if this inner change doesn't happen, then one is a rag picker looking for little crumbs. Like that story of that prince and the pauper. There was one old movie, The Prince and the Pauper. The prince, in fact, it should have been named The Prince Who Was the Pauper. So this prince the child got lost because there was a coup, and then the king and the queen were killed. There was a loyal minister who had saved the child, given it to a nurse, and who from the palace, who would take care of it. And so she took it, but then somehow the child got lost in all this war and everything, the invaders. Then finally, the invaders were pushed away. The king's brother assumed the throne. And then he was very loyal and he said, no, this kingdom doesn't belong to me. There is a child out there somewhere. Let's try to find it first. And then a loyal minister was set to find this prince. The prince was eventually found as a result of certain birthmarks, etc. And what was he doing? He was playing with some urchins on the side of the road. Ran away and hid whenever when the minister came, but somehow was able to. They were able to catch him. They were able to catch him. He was just dirty, covered in rags and all kinds of diseases. So the minister put him in a flea dip, took him out, combed his hair, and changed his clothes, put royal clothes and everything, and then put him on this what is that, palki? What is palki in English? There is a word, palanquin. Yes, it is comes from palki only. Okay, yeah. So they put him on this palki with all the people bearing this little boy, and then they paraded him on the through the city. They took him and said, the prince has been found, the prince has been found. People are coming to greet him joyously, giving him gifts of gold, silver, and embroidered clothes and everything. And what does this fellow do? He sees a garbage can on the side of the road and jumps out of this palki. And then, and the minister was horrified because he just, and then he growls because he sees another dog and he wants to scare away that dog because that garbage can is all his. And then he just removes all the plastic and the bags and all the other things, and then delves into a piece of eaten apple, more core than apple, but even little pieces of fruit is there sticking to that core, and he just starts to eat it. And then something else he finds, stale bread, and he munches on that, and then he has to be counseled. No, no, everything belongs to you. Yeah, but the garbage can is also mine, right? So why can't I have it out of that? No, no, no. You'll get food in golden dishes. You don't need to do this. So that orientation is needed. That orientation is needed, that reorientation. A total reorientation is needed because of this pauper mentality. This is what every jiva is. As soon as the garbage can is there, and so you want to open it and jump into it and see what scraps one can do, even though this whole samrajya, this samrajya means this kingdom, the kingdom of the self, which is limitless, which is whole, and everything in it belongs to you, really. When you understand this, that you are actually a very fulfilled person, when you understand this, there is nothing more to pursue. And that orientation has to be changed. Should be some inner transformation, and that if it is not understood, then one will be picking things off the street all of one's life. And so this prasakti, this addiction, prasakti means addiction. So this prasakti, this addiction towards the finite, must be ended. And there must be a new orientation. And so verse 45 is a wonderful segue to how to gain this new orientation. A very, very fantastic verse. And we will read it and then look into what gems it might yield. त्रैगुण्यविषया वेदाः निस्त्रैगुण्यो भवार्जुन निर्द्वन्द्वो नित्यसत्त्वस्थः निर्योगक्षेम आत्मवान् त्रैगुण्यविषया वेदाः निस्त्रैगुण्यो भवार्जुन निर्द्वन्द्वो नित्यसत्त्वस्थः निर्योगक्षेम आत्मवान्. A simple fact is being given at first in this verse. Traigunya Vishayaha Vedaha. Veda, which includes Vedanta also, by the way. But generally speaking, when we talk about the Veda, the first portion of the Veda is what attracts the people. And as we said, the first portion of the Veda is relevant even if one doesn't know what the Veda is, because the first portion comprises a lot of means and ends, pursuit of means and ends. So even if you have never studied the Veda, even if you have never uttered the word Veda, then please know, it says here, please know that this pursuit that we have been talking about, I have this pursuit, I have this desire, and I'm going to pursue it. This orientation is the subject matter of the first portion of the Veda. All kinds of desires, all kinds of means to fulfill those desires. Most of the means are in the form of prayer, because the Veda wants you to come out of this, panting for instant gratification, and the Veda wants you to learn to sit still because there is a reward. Yes, you're permitted to wag your tail, but you have to sit still and wait for the reward and be prayerful. This is what the Veda does. But still, people forget that the Veda is a finishing school. The first portion of the Veda is a finishing school. They have all these in these whatever it is, some kind of etiquette schools. And in Victorian England, they had these finishing schools for aristocratic girls. How to walk, how to walk. So, what do you mean how to walk? All this time I have managed to walk. What do you mean there is something to, how to walk means what? No, no, no. You have to have a book balanced on your head. And then with the head held high, then you, then you walk. Oh, but the book will fall. No, no, no. Wrong. You have failed. You have to balance the book and then you walk. These people haven't seen rural India where women balance a big haystack without even needing to hold it in the hand. They are holding one baby in one hand and one pot of water in the other, and then a big haystack. without going to this stupid finishing school. Okay. Yeah. And then here on dainty book you balance, and then you just you walk. Anyhow, that's the finishing school, meaning that your head, neck, and back are in the full alignment, and you walk regally. This is what is the subject matter of the Victorian Victorian girls finishing school. And then so the finishing school is there, and then how to talk. That is also a subject matter. How to talk, when to talk. And for girls, never. Don't be seen, don't be heard, don't talk. That is the idea. But then what is the purpose of the finishing school? The purpose of the finishing school for the girls is to find another aristocratic, very rich husband. That is the idea. So that you are groomed into find. That's what is called groomed into finding an appropriate groom. That's what it is. And so the finishing school also has a purpose. And here also the Veda, the first portion of the Veda also is like a finishing school. Oh, I'm being groomed to find a husband or a spouse. No, no, no. You are being groomed to find yourself. You're being groomed for a greater union than marriage, a more timeless and a limitless union. And so that is the purpose of the first portion of the Veda. But then, like I said at the beginning of this talk, that when one indulges in this means and ends fulfillment, one becomes addicted. So, in other words, the finishing school finishes you off and does not really lead to the ends. One becomes fixated on just milking the first portion of the Veda for bhoga, Aishwarya, all kinds of things. Alas, this is what happens. Therefore, this is a wake up call. And so, Lord Krishna says unequivocally, the Traigunya Vishaya Veda. The first portion of the Veda is all about the time bound, space bound ends. Traigunya Vishaya. Traigunya means what? The subject matter of the three gunas. Traigunya Vishaya. Traigunya here means samsara. Samsara Vishaya. Samsara means this is all about means and ends. I just defined samsara, a endless link of doings and undoings and doings and undoings, effect and cause and results of action and more actions and misery, and then in between a little burst of happiness, and then again one gets addicted to the happiness, and one starts to think that one can reproduce the happiness, but then one cannot, and then so one is miserable again and again. This is called Traigunya Vishaya. Traigunya Vishaya means that in the world there are three gunas, three kinds of temperaments, or colorations, or qualities, or attributes that basically is there in every single thing that is created. Every single thing that is created is touched by these qualities, because that is the part of the time space matrix. So just like every single thing that is created is as it were bound by time, it is finite, it comes to an end, and every single thing that is created is bound by space. It is occupies a certain space, S1, space 1, at T1, at time 1, at a certain time. So this is well known. You don't need to read a book on physics or anything to understand this. All things that are created, every single object that I encounter in the Jagat, in this universe, starting with my own physical body, my mind, my senses, is time bound and space bound. This we know. To this, one more dimension is added. Every single thing that is there in this universe is not only time bound and space bound, but it is also temperament bound. Very interesting. So it is temperamentally bound. What do you mean by temperamentally bound? These are the three colorations. The first one is called sattva. Sattva means godliness, and it is just, it is very pleasing to the heart. Sattva is really very close to Satyam, one's nature. Very, very close. And so there, Sattva symbolizes clarity, for example, in one's pursuit, in the mind, and in objects, like, for example, food. Sattva means like healthy food, food that is fresh, food that is not stale, food that has been cooked with love and joy, not something that is, dished out in anger. Food that is not what do we call it these days, ultra processed. Ultra processed food. And because that just goes and creates all kinds of things. And so this is called sattva, fresh and wholesome. We talk of whole grains and all these things. This is sattva. And then it's now, then we say foods belonging or anything belonging to the sattva category is called sattvika, and in English we say sattvic. It has become an English word now, thanks to the proliferation of Ayurveda all over the West. Yoga and Ayurveda. Sattvic, we say. Sattvic means just wonderful, very nice. It's exactly what the heart desires, it's exactly what the body wants. It's exactly what the mind also wants to be in that state of sattva. That's why one is miserable when one is angry. You don't want to be angry. You don't want to be upset. You want to be tranquil, the mind. You want to enjoy a tranquil mind. And that is sattva. Then we have, another temperament or quality that is shared by every single thing that is created, and that is called rajas, the principle of movement. And if we look at the Jagat, everything is moving. Everything is in motion. Look at the galaxies, they are spinning. And look at the planets, they are moving. Everything is moving. All the time, things are moving. Even ants, the tiniest things, pipilika ants, the ants are also moving, moving. God only knows where they are going. And they are in a single straight line and they are all going somewhere. And if you come in the way, if you put your hand there, they will walk on your hand and go. They will not be deterred. And so they keep moving, moving, moving. The whole world is in a very interesting state of balanced movement. This is called rajas. But rajas also has the flip side, the unbalanced side, like it can become too much restlessness, too much movement. So just like there is movement outside, there is movement within. There is movement within the body. Food is getting digested. Blood is on the go all the time. The blood is moving. Breath is moving. Everything is moving. The mind also is moving, 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 moving. But then if the mind moves too much, there is no focus. And that is and if the mind is too fast, then it is not able to, it's not able to sit still and enjoy the tranquility that it's which is in fact its nature. It's not able to enjoy that. And so therefore the rajas is the rajas has two aspects. Sattva has only one aspect. Sattva cannot go bad because it is in keeping with your nature. But rajas can go rogue. The flip side of rajas is too much movement, restlessness, anger, anger, avarice, greed. I want more, I want more, I want more. And then this, the delusion. All this comes under rajas. Then we have the third principle or the third temperamental coloration that is there in all created things, in the whole Jagat, which is called tamas. So Rajasic, Sattvic we have covered, and then Tamasic and Tamasic. And what is that? It's just you can remove the tama and it just means sick. Okay, yeah, that you can retain in Tamasic. You can just retain the word sick. That is what it amounts to. But what does that mean exactly? Tamas again is a very important principle that is there in the universe, which is about stillness, repose, inertia, because all that movement that is symbolized by rajas has to then come to a place of stillness, and that stillness is tamas. That stillness is there, and of course it is welcome. Whole day one is roaming around, you are roaming around, you are getting this done, getting that done, doing this, doing that, and then after that what? After that, what do you want to do? You want to rest. That principle of rest, when it is in balance, very much needed. It is called tamas. It is what makes the trees grow. First, you put a seed and cover it up, it's underground. God only knows what it is doing, but you water it, water it, water it, and if you don't yank it out and see what it's doing, slowly it comes out and a shoot grows. That's why it's called shoot. It suddenly shoots up when nobody is looking. And then so this is exactly the purpose of tamas, that stillness, that repose, that inertia which balances the movement. But then it again has a flip side. When it is out of balance, we find whether it is external or internal, there is just slothfulness. It turns into slothfulness, it turns into apathy, it turns into depression. Whereas rajas is anger, unbalanced rajas is anger. This is just sheer depression and revengefulness, wanting to wreak vengeance upon the universe and feeling victimized, feeling slighted all the time. Nobody loves me, I'm no good, I hate myself, and everybody also hates me. This kind of wallowing in this pity and wallowing in this kind of these sentiments is unbalanced tamas. And then this is within the body mind complex, but then yeah, within the mind, within the body also, you see that, if you stop exercising, then the body will say, I'm not going to move. Why move? Why should I move? And it gets used to it, and then after that, when you start exercising again, then it just gives you hell for the first 2 3 days. And so that is all, that's how it is there in the expressed in the body. Then you see it in food also. And in the 18th chapter, Bhagavan talks about this kind of tamasic food, and he says yata yata yamam gatarasam, meaning the food from which all nutrients have departed, and this is tamasic food. There's nothing, it's just food, that's all. It's just food. It's not really food. What is an example? Like maybe some, what is that, uh, uh, diet soft drink. And so what is there in it? No, but it fills me up. Yeah, but with what? That is the question. What is there? It doesn't have sugar. At least there is some energy in sugar. It doesn't have sugar. It doesn't have, it doesn't have anything. And then the recipe also, the ingredients don't tell what it is, because the recipe is supposed to be a secret sitting in a vault somewhere. Because they all continue to want to make money. Yeah, so they are vaulting into their riches, and while one is addicted to this, whatever, this soft drink, full of tamas. Why? Because it is not doing anything to nourish the body. It is, in fact, making it more, it is causing more harm. And so, like this, the whole world also has what is called tamas. And so when we say Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha, so the first portion of the Veda is steeped in reproducing the Rajas, Tamas, and little bit of Sattva perhaps, but mostly Rajas and Tamas. And so therefore, the first portion of the Veda must be jettisoned. One has to jump from that. So don't still stay in the finishing school. Graduate from the finishing school and and just get what is that? Find the Atma. You are being groomed to find and understand that you are one with the Atma. So get out of that. Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha. Hey Arjuna. Oh Arjuna. The whole way of the world is just steeped in desire fulfillment. A very sad state of affairs. Why? Because the heart wants much more, because the truth of the eye is much more than just a beggar looking for scraps of desires. One is, in fact, a king, a prince, a princess, a king, a queen, reigning over the self, the Atman, which is free of all desire. How do you know? Well, you know, when you go to sleep, don't do that now, but when you do go to sleep, what happens? What happens when you are asleep? There is no desire. Total freedom from desiring is there in sleep, and even in the waking moments when you are contented, there is total freedom from desiring even in the waking moments. And so, therefore, this desiring person is a interloper, is an interloper, not the real I. It is just masquerading to be the self without really being the self. This is what is the teaching. This is what is being taught here. And so, Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha, the first portion of the Veda, which sanctions desire fulfillment, is just steeped in this conundrum of Rajas, the Tamas, Sattva, this kind of a thing, means and ends. And one is trapped in misery and anger. One is trapped in anger and misery. Those are the primary emotions that run this universe. Either you are sad and one is under the covers, or one is protesting because one is angry. This is what it is. And so one is lashing out because one is angry, or one is imploding because one is angry, or one is under the covers full of tamas, apathetic, disinterested, disenchanted, feeling that my whole life is routinized and there is nothing else to gain. This is samsara. And so the first portion of the Veda is just giving a kind of a stamp of approval for samsara. For whom? For those people who don't know any better. You know better now. Arjuna, you know better. Why are you not coming out of this? You need to come out of this. Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha. And then what? You become Nistraigunya. You become Nistraigunya. You become free of the three gunas. Oh, this is a tall order. You just told me that my body, mind, sense complex is also affected by these three gunas. How do I come out of this? How do I come out of this? I don't know how to come out of this. And how to come out of this is given in the second line. Nitya Sattvastha. We'll see the other things later, but the first one I want to say is Nitya Sattvastho Bhava. Sattva means that kind of a contentment, which is the truth of yourself. Nitya means always. Sattvastha means sattve tishtati iti. The one who is abiding in this contentment. Be that person who is abiding in this sattva. Catch hold of the sattva. If you want to come out of the three gunas, then, don't catch hold of rajas. Because we all know what happens where you end up. You're an angry mess. If you catch hold of rajas, if you catch hold of tamas, you are a sad mess. And so catch hold of sattva. Be with the sattva. Abide in the sattva. And then, of course, don't ask the question, how to get rid of sattva? There is no need to get rid of sattva. It resolves into you. It resolves into you. It naturally, it naturally resolves into you. I always give this example of this, Olympic pole vaulting sport, pole vault. And so you have to run very hard, very quick. And then there is a pole erected very high. And you run with there is a string erected. You run with a big stick pole. And then you put it on the ground and use it as leverage to go over that string. And then what happens to that pole? Do you also want to carry it across? No. That pole just falls on the wayside. Its job is done. You have crossed over the three gunas. You catch hold of sattva because that is what resolves into you. Nitya sattvastho bhava. And how to be without how to do this, how to be nitya sattvastha, how to rise above these qualities of rajas and tamas. You be nitya sattvastha means be in that contentment. How to be in that contentment? Well, these days a new fashion has come in the field of psychotherapy, and in medicine. And what is that? The new trend. What is that trend? Develop an attitude of gratitude. This is what they say. All this comes from the Veda only. This is all ancient knowledge. So we didn't call it attitude of gratitude and we didn't make it rhyme. But this is what it is. Being in sattva means having an attitude of gratitude. It's easy to complain. Even without getting paid, one complains for free. You don't, the complaining person doesn't even say, I need my hourly rates are this much. No, one complains for free. But then this is the opposite tendency. It's very difficult to find even one thing for which you are grateful. And you don't even need to bring God or any other entity here. You just say, what is it that's working out for me right now? What is it that is working? What is it that is nice? What is it that where there is nothing to complain about? What is it that's wonderful? And in the beginning of this exercise, the answer will come bright and clear. What is that? Nothing. Nothing is going well. Nothing is going well. Oh, but what about that person? Your friend dropped by and brought you a little present. Yeah, but I wasn't present. Meaning that's what happens. You weren't present for the present, and so therefore what? So this is the so you just it glossed over the mind. I had a terrible day. People say this. And it is true. Sometimes nothing goes in your favor. Everything is all over the place. And, especially they say during periods of, what is it called? Mercury, the planet, which goes in retrograde. Mercury is the planet of communication. And then, so when it goes in retrograde, everything goes awry. You say yes, and it is misunderstood as no. You say no, it is misunderstood as yes. And all these things, there's misunderstandings, there is technological stuff breaking down, nothing seems to work. Oh, but when is this Mercury in retrograde? Right now. Okay, yeah, right now. Until the 3rd of October, it is in retrograde. So you can expect the unexpected. That is what it is. And in fact, when these periods of Mercury in retrograde, which happens 3 or 4 times a year, is a nice sadhana for the people, for everyone to expect the unexpected. To expect the unexpected always. And when you expect the unexpected becomes expected. See? So this is how it is. So nothing surprises. This is how to be Nitya Sattvastha. Nitya Sattvastha. Things don't go your way. But even then, even on the worst day possible, you see that you were protected. You see that you were, it could have gone a lot worse. You see that something came in the correct time and averted what would have been a greater catastrophe. You see that. And when you make it a point to see that, the hold of the tamas loosens, and one is going more and more towards sattva. Very simply put, I mean, I like this a lot. I mean, the current trend of attitude of gratitude. And this is not only there in psychotherapy, but it is also there in the field of medicine. People, the doctors are saying this. The doctors are saying you have a sense of well being. Learn to journal, keep a journal, keep a gratitude journal of what is going okay in your life, not what is going bad in your life. That is very self evident. I mean, what is going bad, you don't have to, you don't have to struggle to think. It is obvious. It is obvious that things are challenging right now. And in fact, they have been for the last 2 years with this pandemic and all these things. But there is something going well. There is something which is wonderful. Here we are studying this wonderful text. Here we are having a good time. That is going well. So many things are going well. I can walk. That is going well. I can talk. That is going well. I can eat. I can drink. I can do all kinds of things. All that is going very well. And so this is where one has to, make that effort. Make that effort to see under the pain, under the anger, under the feeling of victimization, to look at what is this attitude of gratitude? Where is the contentment? What is going okay? And then in the beginning, grudgingly, because one is not habituated to this, grudgingly one, okay, this is going well, I suppose, but it's not enough. But still, you have acknowledged it. And that small acknowledgement has turned the tamas around, has turned the mind around already. And the next piece of happiness or contentment to look at, to acknowledge, takes a little less effort. This is the mind gym. Just like when you go to the regular gym and go, lift the weights and go do like this. And then after doing once, the muscle is not appeared. You just look and there is no muscle. And then you go like this again, there is no muscle. But this is a regular practice. Then when you're not looking, the muscle pops up. And then like that cartoon character who eats a lot of spinach. This is for children, to eat their greens. And then he eats so much, there is a can, and he opens the can and puts the whole spinach can in his mouth. And then suddenly that spinach travels to his muscles, and then pop, the muscle comes. That's why he's called Popeye. Okay. And so the muscle suddenly comes. But here this is not sudden, but it is a blessing of this constant practice of being in sattva, that suddenly one finds that even though nothing is going well, one is happy, one is contented, one is at peace. One is not all stressed out and a ball and a bunch of nerves. One is not a ball of nerves. One is happy. So Nitya Sattvastho Bhava. Just a very beautiful teaching here. A very much needed and extremely pertinent and beautiful teaching. Just something to think about. And the other, there are some other, what is that? Some other things that are talked about here, which helps one to cross the three gunas. What are they? Nirdvandvo bhava, be without opposites. And then nitya nirdvandvo bhava, atmavan bhava. Atmavan means, be somebody who is in charge of oneself. Be together. Be a person who is put together. And niryoga kshemo bhava. Niryoga kshema means be without being addicted to fearful addiction to getting something out of life and pursuing some things. So all this we will see. And the question is, when? Next week I'm off to a small conference. So I will. This class will meet in 2 weeks. Okay. So next week I'm not here, either for this class or for the class that comes tomorrow, which is that Shatashloki. this tomorrow the class will meet, but a week from tomorrow, neither the Bhagavad Gita class nor this one will meet. And then Praveen, you were saying about these weekend classes. Should we not have Mundakopanishad and Bodhasara and defer it to October? Is that what you feel?
Our Gita Vichara team would busy with the Aim for Seva program, but others may be willing to may
Okay.
like to listen to you.
Okay, so we'll continue. So other things. So this weekend we will have the what is that? We will have the regular Bhashya classes, which meet on in the mornings, Saturday, Sunday, and then Saturday, Sunday evening we will have Bodhasara, and then we will also have Mundakopanishad, respectively. And then Monday night we will not have the classes, and so that is that because I'll be gone for a conference. All right. Yeah. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः 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 हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ. There's a question here which I'm just seeing. When someone is happy, isn't the happiness perceived in the mind? Yes, it is reflected in the mind. And if the mind enlivens because of the Atma, and the Ananda itself is Atma, then what is it which the ego mind perceives? That momentary period is happy. It is one with Atma. That's what it is. The mind is happy because it is not complaining. I mean, when it is not complaining, it is in repose. It is enjoying that oneness which is already there. But then it doesn't know, that, so it enjoys a manufactured oneness because of the subject object fusion. Okay, which is a which is why we need to get out of this confusion.